Welcome back, Endgame community. What is up? Week 1 is just about in the books, and today I'm going to talk about some players that you may or may not be panicking about, and I'm going to tell you whether you should or should not be panicking about these players, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. Now, really quick, before we get into that, I need to give you a really important announcement about our Sunday morning live start sit show. Look, Pierre and I are both extremely grateful for all of you who jump on the show and ask questions. And we really want to be able to answer every single question, but it's just not possible in a 2-hour time frame, right? There's just too many questions. So here's what we're going to do going forward. Starting next week, week 2, the live show will start at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. It will run for 2 hours. It will remain completely free, just like it was today, and we will do our best to answer every single question that we can. What we're going to do on Sunday mornings now is we're going to start an exclusive private live start sit show where we guarantee we will answer every single question that we get during that time. If we have to start earlier, we'll start earlier. Now, there is going to be a small fee with that. We're going to price gouge you for a massive $4.99 per month. That's right. $4.99 per month. But we want to make sure that thing's exclusive and private and feels like something bigger. So we need to have a small monetary value, less than like your daily Starbucks coffee probably. So if you want to pay for it, that's awesome. We'd love to have you. Again, we're going to answer every question that we possibly can. If it's a little too much, you don't want to pay the money on principle, whatever it might be, no worries at all. We totally understand. Again, on Saturday night, we will do our live start sit show at 7 p.m. Eastern, completely free on YouTube, and we'll do our best to get to every question. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff, right? I'm going to talk about 6 players today who had terrible fantasy games or maybe were much under expectation from what we expected. These are guys that were drafted in the earlier rounds of drafts, guys that you were going to count on week in and week out, and I'm going to tell you whether you should be panicking about them or maybe you should just stay patient and wait. All right, let's start with the Thursday night game. And I think there's a big obvious name here, right? And that's Ezekiel Elliott. 5 fantasy points for your team. Not what you were hoping for. I think we knew going into the game, this was a tough spot for Zeke. We were hoping maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 points. Maybe volume would get it done. But man, the Cowboys had a great game plan. They knew that they weren't going to be able to beat this Tampa Bay run defense, especially without all-pro guard Zach Martin. So they just came out throwing, and it was a great game plan. They almost won. They should have won, but they didn't. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Zeke. So what were some of the concerns coming into the season? Zeke was done. Tony Pollard was going to get more of the work. Well, I'm going to say both of those were put to bed because in the limited action Zeke got, he actually looked good. He looked light. He looked quick. He looked fast. I was impressed. It's hard to be impressed by a guy who doesn't get a lot of work, but he looked pretty good to me. So I think we can put that to rest. We can also put to rest the Tony Pollard nonsense. Zeke played 82% of the snaps to Pollard's 23%. Now, I know I get it. If you're just watching the game, you're like, hey, Pollard caught 4 passes, had 3 carries. Okay, that's fine. But it's going to be very hard for Tony Pollard to have any real impact only playing 23% of the snaps. And look, there are only 5 or 6 running backs that play 80% of their team snaps. We're talking about elite volume here for Zeke. The Cowboys aren't going to have a 60 pass attempt game plan every single week. And let's not forget, if Blake Jarwin had not completely whiffed on a block near the goal line, Zeke would have scored a touchdown in that game for sure. So better days are ahead for Zeke. Do not panic on Zeke. Do not trade him at his rock bottom lowest value. Please don't trade Zeke this week unless you get an incredible offer. Then, of course, trade him. But don't take some lowball offer just to get rid of Zeke. He's going to be fine. He's going to put up monster game after monster game. Just relax and be patient. All right, let's stick with that Thursday night game. And let's talk about a receiver on the other side of the ball. And that's Mike Evans. Had only 24 yards on 6 targets. Not really what we were expecting from Mike Evans, especially against this Cowboys defense. But you got to look a little deeper. Trayvon Diggs played great in this game for Dallas. The corner for Dallas played great in this game, and he didn't shadow Mike Evans. He didn't cover him every snap. But when they went to man coverage, he was on Evans, and he really did a great job against Mike Evans. Plus, if it wasn't for a great play by Diggs on that final drive where he just got his fingers on the ball, Evans would have caught a pass and probably ran another 20 to 30 yards. And sure, that's not really what you're hoping for Evans, right? It's not a monster game, but you'd at least feel okay right now, not as panicky as you feel. And the other good news here for Mike Evans, he played almost every single snap, 94% of the snaps. I know people are going to look at Antonio Brown and they're going to say, oh, he's ahead of Mike Evans now, but no, he's not. Antonio Brown barely played over 60% of the snaps. I know he made the most of those snaps, and that's great, but better days are ahead for Mike Evans as well. And by the way, it starts this week against the Atlanta Falcons, that terrible Falcons defense. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts just put 3 touchdowns on them. No reason to think Evans doesn't have a huge bounce back game in week 2. So again, don't panic and trade Evans on the cheap. Hold on to Mike Evans. He's going to bounce back in a big way this week. If you're panicked about Mike Evans and you don't believe, wait for him at least to have a big game this week, then go trade him. All right, let's talk about another running back, a rookie running back that I think we all had very high expectations for, and that is Najee Harris. Didn't really happen for Najee Harris. Only 49 total yards today, only 1 catch on the day. That's not what we're looking for, especially on a day when Big Ben threw it 35 times. So he wasn't getting the dump offs or anything. You know, there's definitely some concern here. Number one concern is that O-line looked as bad as we've thought it has all off season, right? We knew this offensive line was not going to be great for him, and it didn't look great today. Now, on the flip side, that Bills front is incredible. That Bills defense is really good. They made a lot of improvements to that defense in the offseason, so can't take too much out of it. It was definitely an ugly game on both sides of the ball. No offense really had a good game here. Now, on the positive side, he played pretty much every single snap. I don't know what the exact snap numbers are yet, but it's got to be well over 80%. And he handled every running back touch. So he is what we thought he is. He's the workhorse. He's going to get every single touch. Obviously, the O-line is a bit of a concern, but again, they're not going to play this tough Bills front every week. And I also think he is going to be more involved in the passing game as the season goes on. So again, I'm going to say for the third time, don't panic on Najee. It's his first game in the NFL. It was a tough matchup. The O-line did him no favors, but on the plus side, he played almost every snap and he got every running back touch. He has no competition there in Pittsburgh. Once again, better days are ahead. All right, let's talk about another rookie tight end, Kyle Pitts. And by the way, for those of you who commented on our start-sit video that I was an idiot, that I was dumb for saying Kyle Pitts should be a must-sit, it's okay. I'm not going to ask you to apologize. It's fine. I'm going to forget all about it and just move on because that's how it works in fantasy football. But yeah, not a great first outing for the rookie. Just 4 catches for 31 yards. On the plus side, though, he did tie for the team lead in targets with 8. So it wasn't like he wasn't getting involved. I don't know snap counts as far as where he lined up at tight end and wide receiver. I think he did play some wide receiver, but I think he primarily lined up at tight end, which is a bit of a concern because the whole selling point for Kyle Pitts, right, was this guy's not a wide receiver. This guy's not a tight end. I'm sorry. He's a tight end. He's a wide receiver just listed as a tight end. Boy, I'm really getting confused there. But I don't know if that was the case. I mean, to be honest, I don't have the snap numbers, but from what I saw of the game, I didn't see him a wide receiver too often. I can't imagine he played that many snaps at wide receiver. But again, tied for the team league in targets, that's a positive, right? Didn't have the numbers we want, but you got to understand this guy's a rookie. You can't expect him to come out and just put up Travis Kelce numbers in week 1, which I know a lot of you did. But look, it's not going to happen. And I talked about in that video, Philadelphia, very good against tight ends. So again, I mean, you can't really do anything if you have Kyle Pitts. You drafted him in like the 4th or 5th round. No one's going to trade you for Kyle Pitts after that game. You just got to hold down. I'm a little bit panicked here simply because Matt Ryan looked really bad. And I've talked about all offseason about how bad Ryan and this whole offense looked without Julio. I'm definitely concerned for this entire Atlanta offense right now. But for Kyle Pitts, I would say mildly panicking right now. But, you know, I didn't have high expectations for Kyle Pitts this year anyway. So you might be mildly panicking. I'm not. All right, let's stick with the Falcons and talk about stud wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Just 5 catches for 51 yards in a matchup that looked like a home run, can't miss matchup. In fact, Pierre, not knocking Pierre, I agreed with him. He had Calvin Ridley ranked as his number 1 wide receiver, as did I, because it's Calvin Ridley, it's the Eagles. How can this not work? Well, it didn't work. On the plus side, he also tied with Kyle Pitts for 8 targets, so it wasn't like he wasn't involved. Still the leading target guy there. Would have liked to seen that higher 10 plus, especially in a game the Falcons were losing and were forced to throw. But once again, you got to be at least a little mildly concerned. I mean, look, Calvin Ridley is a great receiver. He's going to rebound. He's going to be better. But the concern here is this entire Falcons offense. It just looks terrible. And Matt Ryan looks terrible. And he's under pressure the entire game. So we might have been a little too high on Calvin Ridley this season, saying he's going to be a top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1 receiver. I still think he's going to be great. It's only one game. I never panic after one game. Definitely don't go out and trade Calvin Ridley right now, because much like Zeke, you're going to get low ball offers and it's not even going to be worth it. You're going to have to just keep rolling them out, hope things get better, which I believe they will. Calvin Ridley is too good, and I think Matt Ryan is good enough. So again, kind of like Kyle Pitts, I'm mildly panicking here because the offense and Matt Ryan are panicking me, but Calvin Ridley is a good enough player. I think he rebounds. And then finally, one more wide receiver to talk about. Not a rookie, not a young guy, a veteran, and that's Julio Jones. First start with the Titans, and surprise, surprise, 3 catches for 29 yards on only 6 targets. Look, I've talked about Julio Jones all offseason. I said I don't have him as a top 24 wide receiver. He's going from a high volume passing attack to a low volume passing attack where he's not the alpha receiver, and he's going to have to readjust to a new quarterback. Since he's had the same quarterback for the last 5 or 6 years or longer, however long it's been, I don't even know, 10 years, however long it's been. Well, all that came true today. And the worst part about today was this wasn't like a Derrick Henry game where they were just crushing the Cardinals and Derrick Henry ran the ball 30 times and they barely threw. It was the opposite. They were getting smoked in this game. Ryan Tannehill had to throw the ball 32 times, and still Julio only got 6 targets. Definitely some chemistry issues there, no doubt about it. Look, this isn't young, prime Julio Jones. This is 32, almost 33-year-old, might even be 33-year-old, actually. I'm not even sure. I have to check. But, Julio Jones, it's going to take some time. There's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be, some bad games. Sure, he's going to have some nice games in there, of course. But on a day where Tannehill threw 32 times to only get 6 targets, that is definitely concerning for me. Again, I wasn't on Julio Jones at all this year, so I'm not panicking. But if I had Julio Jones, I would be panicking. And if you have Julio Jones, you should be panicking. And my advice, honestly, is to try to sell Julio Jones to somebody who does think he still is going to be that elite wide receiver and is going to have value. Because if he can't get it done on a day like today, I don't know when he's going to get it done. And look, if he has another game or two like this, his value is going to be gone and you're not going to be able to trade him. So my advice is to try to trade Julio Jones. Don't take a lowball offer. But if somebody thinks Julio Jones is going to still be Julio Jones and gives you something very good for him, take it and run. All right, guys, there you go. There are my panic players. Comment below. Do you agree, disagree with my panic players? Who are you panicking about on your fantasy team? I want to hear from you. Comment below. And if you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, informative at all, we'd love it if you hit subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. And again, don't forget, live Start Sit show moving to Saturday night, at 7 p.m. And again, link in the description below to join our private, exclusive Sunday morning member only Start Sit show for a whopping $4.99. So hopefully we'll see a bunch of you in there and make sure we get all your questions answered. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.